Hello, I'm Wendy Jelbert and welcome to my top tips for acrylic artists. When we've completed all our exercises and demonstrations and projects, hopefully you'll become a more adventurous and inspired artist. So let's get started. Let's have a look at using an undercoat. This is often a contrast to the colour you're going to be using, and it adds richness and a unity to a painting. Here I'm going to do some sunflowers, but first of all I'm going to put a red undercoat. Right, let's put this all underneath. It looks absolutely horrendous to start with, but it hopefully will add a dimension and a drama to the whole picture. So we'll put this in, I think fairly roughly. It doesn't have to be actually all over the picture. It can be part of the picture, especially where the focal point is. Perhaps a bit over here. There. A cadmium red underneath, perhaps a bit of pink over here. We'll let that dry and paint on top of it. The first thing I'm going to do on top of this colour is to put some guiding lines in yellow ochre for the main features. So this can go on the top, but it does help to get some of the details right. There we go. Put some of these in. Right, so this goes here. Sunflowers are marvellous things to paint. And then another stalk, perhaps a leaf coming off the page. And we'll let this dry. Now, to help me, I'm going to put some of the background in of aquamarine around the flower so the shapes show up pretty quickly. And with very quick brush strokes. See, immediately that red and the blue work beautifully together, don't they? And we just eat into the shape, and that red shows through. It's a lovely feel. It's like icing a cake. Round through here. Perhaps just putting a little bit more white into the background and emphasizing the star-like quality of the flower and bringing that shape right into the background. And you notice that there's a bit of dry brush stroke there, and that shows some of the background even more around the flower itself, so there's an emphasis. They don't look like sunflowers yet, they look like some kind of red abstract thing, but it'll take place. Okay, so this is going up through the stalks, and this also highlights the shape and the thrust of those patterns. And then I'm going to change my brush. That was a white hoghair brush, and I'm going to put some yellows into the petals. But I've got to be careful that I don't completely cover up the red, because that's the reason I put it on in the first place, so it'll show up in little inklings of colour. Here we go. And it doesn't matter if it's thicker in one part and not the other. Again, I can just break the mould and put some extra strokes in there. This one is looking at a different angle. When you're doing flowers, it's very important that you get different angles, because again, if you keep repeating the same one, it's a right bore. So let's try the middles, big swoops and swirls of colour. This is a yellow ochre with a little tiny bit of brown in the middle. So, and that, and a swirl there, and a darker bit in the middle. Bit there, and there. Getting just a little bit more definition on the edge, and a bit more here. Some dark bits here, and I think it needs some greens, so I'm going to put some greens in a minute. Using some hooker's green, I'm going to put in some of the sweeps of the petals, but just partly, so that we've got just some kind of outline. And then bring it down here, round here, and round here. Put it here. And perhaps a few leaves as well. Very kind of free, this one is. And at the back there's some pale green, beautiful, protective greenery there. And this has got more yellow in it. Got that there, and some here. Put in some of this. And some darker bits there. And some highlighting, shadowy bits around here. And let that dry again. I'm going to just put some more lines around some of these petals. There. Still think it needs a bit more contrast. Here we go, put in that. Now this one needs something doing to it as well. Around here. It needs to be a bit darker. Yeah. And then we need to have some more. I think we could do perhaps a little bit of orange. I don't know if that's going to be a good idea. And a bit of yellow coming over here. Putting it round here. And perhaps just breaking up some of the lines. I think this one's all right over here. And then putting a big sweep of yellow ochre around here. And just letting, again, some of this reddy colour go through. And a bit of blue coming through here. Some of these negative shapes are really important. Could lose some of those and then just add a bit here. Yeah, sweep these up a bit so it makes it a bit more of a star shape. And the lightest of all over the top, the thickest. A bit over here. Now if you ever wanted to varnish some of your acrylic, the silk satin varnish is the nicest. It's not too bright, it's not too shiny, and it's definitely not too matte. So that's probably the best one to have. Just put one layer on, let it dry, and then put another layer on. And that is if you are not putting glass over your paintings. If you're putting it on canvas or on a board. Right, let's just give that a little time to settle down. I'm just going to add a bit of blue because the orangey background probably could have an extra punch there, just an extra accent. This finished painting is very vibrant because of the sparky red bits coming through. It unites the whole picture. It's everywhere, showing through the background and through the flowers themselves. It's also very dramatic because of these shafts of colour all the way around the picture and especially into the shape of these petals.